How will the boys blow our bloody minds in the season finale? Right, listen up, you lot. I've just watched the latest episode of The Boys, and let me tell you, it's about as subtle as a sledgehammer to the face. Kripke, that mad genius, has been yanking our chains all season, and now we're left with one final episode to sort out this unholy mess. Now, I'm not one for guesswork. That's for people who can't be bothered to know things. But even I have to admit, trying to predict what's coming next in this show is like trying to nail jelly to a wall. It's pointless, messy, and you'll probably end up covered in something sticky. But fear not, because I'm going to attempt the impossible. I'll lay out what might happen in this finale, and I'll even throw in some utterly preposterous ideas that could set up the next season. Why? Because I can. That's why. Now, before I unleash my torrent of brilliance upon you, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. It costs you nothing, takes less effort than blinking, and it'll make me marginally less grumpy. So go on, give it a click. You know you want to. How will The Boys' grand finale explode? The penultimate episode of The Boys just hit us like a sledgehammer to the face, and it's time we sort through this glorious mess. Butcher, that magnificent bastard, finally comes clean about his little science project. He's been keeping Samir locked up like a naughty schoolboy, trying to cook up a virus that'll wipe out Homelander and Newman. Brilliant, if it wasn't so bloody stupid. The lads decide to play along, but MM's gone all soft and tries to hand the reins back to Butcher. A-Train, of all people, talks some sense into him. They even save Butcher and Starlight from Deep's ambush. Homelander, that psychotic man-child, finds out A-Train's been leaking info like a rusty tap. He throws a tantrum and sacks Sister Sage. Meanwhile, Firecracker's strutting around like she owns the place, and Ryan's finally growing a pair and standing up to Daddy Dearest. The shape-shifting Supe gives our heroes the slip, and in a twist that'd make M. Night Shyamalan wet himself, turns into Starlight. The real Starlight? Chained up somewhere, probably wishing she'd stayed in bed that morning. And just when you think it can't get any more mental, Samir goes and infects Kimiko with the virus. Frenchie, in a moment of actual competence, lops off her leg like he's pruning a hedge. It's absolute carnage, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Bring on the finale, you magnificent bastards! How will the boys outsmart their superpowered foes? We've got ourselves in a right pickle here, haven't we? The lads are after this fancy virus that's supposed to knock off these souped-up nutters, but they've hit a wall. Samir's done a runner, leaving them with their thumbs up their arses. But hold on to your knickers, because there's a glimmer of hope. That crafty bugger Frenchie's back in the game after Butcher pulled some strings. And let me tell you, this bloke's got more tricks up his sleeve than a magician at a children's party. Now get this, they've got Kimiko's leg in a bloody icebox. I'm not making this up. Frenchie's planning to extract the virus from it like he's making a cup of tea. It's mental, but it might just work. And then there's this shape-shifting suit. Bloody hell, it's like something out of a sci-fi nightmare. It can turn into anyone it touches, ripping off its own skin in the process. It's enough to put you off your dinner. So will they pull it off? Who knows? But one thing's for certain. It's going to be one hell of a ride. And if they do manage to whip up this virus, well, let's just say the next season's going to be a right corker. How far will Sister Sage's cunning plan reach? We're in a right old mess with this shape-shifting nonsense. It's not some half-baked scheme cooked up by a bunch of numpties. No, this is Sister Sage we're talking about. The woman's got a brain sharper than a butcher's knife. Now you might think she's gone and cocked it up by meeting this shapeshifter in public. But let me tell you, that's about as likely as me turning down a pint. It's all part of her master plan, isn't it? She wants the boys to know, and she wants them to soil themselves with fear. And what about poor Starlight? She's been nabbed, hasn't she? Locked up tighter than a drum while some imposter prances about in her knickers. It's a disaster waiting to happen. Imagine if this fake Starlight goes and pops off Robert Singer. It'll be chaos, I tell you. Absolute bloody chaos. The real Starlight? She'll be up the creek without a paddle. No alibi, no defense, nothing. It's the perfect setup for Homelander to start rounding up anyone who dares to look at him funny. But here's the kicker. Even if they don't go through with offing Singer, having a mole in the boys' camp is like, well, it's bad news. Every secret, every plan, every whispered conversation, it'll all be handed to Homelander on a silver platter. It's a right mess, and I'll bet you my last bottle of gin that it's only going to get worse. How will the smartest Supe react to her sudden fall from grace? Bloody hell, our esteemed sister Sage appears to have royally cocked it up. And by cocked it up, I mean she's been booted from the 7 quicker than you can say superhero unemployment benefits. Let's start at the beginning, shall we? Our brilliant mind reader fumbled spectacularly at Tech Knight's shindig after taking a bullet to the noggin. Not exactly a stellar performance for someone who's supposed to be the brains of the operation. Meanwhile, Firecracker's been busy playing bartender to Homelander, keeping him well lubricated with his favorite tipple. Smart move that. Our psychotic Superman does love his creature comforts. But here's where it gets interesting. Homelander, in a fit of rage that would make a toddler proud, sacked Sage for keeping mum about A-Train's betrayal. Her clever excuses fell on deaf ears. Poor love. Now, Sage isn't one to take a slight lying down. Being tossed out like yesterday's rubbish isn't going to sit well with her, mark my words. So what's a disgraced superhero to do? Join the boys? Become the savior of the masses? Or perhaps she'll cook up some diabolical scheme of her own. After all, that shapeshifter plan to replace Starlight had her fingerprints all over it. One thing's for certain, we haven't seen the last of Sister Sage. She'll be back, and when she does return, it'll be with a bang, not a whimper. Brace yourselves, folks, this is going to be one hell of a ride. How will A-Train's daring Gambit unfold? A-Train's gone and done a runner, hasn't he? The speedy bugger's vanished faster than my patience at a vegan restaurant. He's got Homelander on his tail, and let me tell you, that's about as comfortable as sitting on a cactus in your underpants. Now our boy's not completely daft. He's tucked his family away somewhere safe, probably in a place so boring even Homelander wouldn't bother looking. But here's the kicker. A-Train might just be gearing up to join the lads full-time. Imagine that. The fastest man alive teaming up with a bunch of misfits who couldn't outrun a tortoise. There's a chance he's holed up with his brother and the rest of his clan, playing happy families while Vought's goons are out there turning over every rock. But here's the thing. A-Train's finally cottoned on to what being a hero actually means. It's not all fancy suits and adoring fans, is it? Mark my words, we'll see him doing something stupidly brave before long, and I'll bet you my last bottle of gin that he'll end up sacrificing himself like a noble idiot. Whether it's this season or the next, A-Train's heading for a heroic exit faster than you can say power-hungry corporate superheroes. How will Victoria Newman's next move shake up the boys? Well, Victoria Newman, the political chameleon of our beloved freak show, is at it again. One minute she's cuddling up to Homelander like a deranged groupie, the next she's having a crisis of conscience. Bloody typical. Our mate Huey, bless his cotton socks, decides to play the hero and spill the beans about Homelander's sinister plans, and wouldn't you know it, Victoria's face drops faster than the ratings of a vegan cooking show. Now here's where it gets interesting. Victoria's got old Stan Edgar whispering in her ear like a geriatric Jiminy Cricket. If she decides to jump ship, Homelander's going to be left high and dry, probably crying into his cape. Speaking of dire straits, poor Starlight's locked up tighter than my wallet at a charity auction. She's lost her powers and is about as useful as a chocolate teapot. Even that fish-faced twit, the Deep, could give her a run for her money now. But mark my words, she'll be back. You can't keep a good Supe down, even if she is chained up like last year's Christmas decorations. The real question is, will she make her grand return in time for the season finale? Or will Kripke keep us hanging on like a pair of old Y-fronts on a washing line? How will Ryan's moral compass spin next? Our little Ryan, the pint-sized powerhouse, has been on more of a roller coaster than a politician's approval ratings. One minute he's daddy's little psychopath, the next he's crying for mummy on live telly. It's enough to give you whiplash. In a twist that's about as predictable as British weather, Ryan's gone and thrown a spanner in Homelander's works. Live on air, mind you. The lad's got balls, I'll give him that. Suddenly he's all mum wouldn't want this, and I miss my old life. It's like watching a tiny, superpowered version of a teenage rebellion. Butcher, the gruff old bear, is practically doing cartwheels. He's convinced keeping his mitts off the boy was the right call. As if he had any other choice, really. Now, if the writers don't cock it up, we might see Ryan and Homelander drifting apart faster than continents. Imagine that. The mini-maniac moving in with Butcher or MM. Now that would be a sitcom I'd watch. The boy's got a good heart, apparently. Must have got that from his mum, because it certainly didn't come from Homelander's gene pool. If he ends up facing off against his dear old dad, well, that'll be a showdown for the ages. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, this is The Boys after all. They're about as predictable as a game of Russian roulette with a fully loaded gun. How will Butcher's inner demons shape his fate? Butcher's gone and done it now, hasn't he? He's told his imaginary mate Joe Kessler to sod off. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Now this Kessler bloke isn't real. He's just Butcher's brain playing silly buggers. But crikey, he's about as useful as a chocolate teapot when it comes to keeping Butcher in check. So, our man Butcher's decided to give his dark side the two-finger salute. Bold move, that. About as bold as wearing Speedos to a funeral. And wouldn't you know it, the moment he does, he ends up face down in a bar, looking about as lively as a sloth on sedatives. But here's the kicker. Butcher's got this other voice in his head, Becky. She's the good cop to Kessler's bad cop. And if I were a betting man, which I am, I'd wager she'll be the one to pull Butcher's arse out of the fire. Let's face it, the show's not about to kill off Butcher before the grand finale. That'd be like serving the main course before the appetizer. No, our boy's got some fight left in him yet. And I, for one, can't wait to see what madness unfolds next. How will the one-legged wonder outfox our hapless heroes? It seems our merry band of incompetence has been outwitted by a chap with one leg. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. You'd think, with all their superpowers and whatnot, they'd be able to catch a bloke hopping about on one foot. But no, Samir's managed to give them the slip like a greased pig at a county fair. Now our clever little hobbler is off on his merry way, presumably to whip up some magical potion to counter this soup-killing virus nonsense. And where's he headed? To his old flame Victoria Newman, of course, because nothing says I'm on the run like popping in for a cuppa with the woman who's probably got half the country looking for you. But here's the kicker. If our fumbling heroes actually manage to cobble together this virus, who do you think will swoop in to save the day? That's right, our one-legged wonder. He'll be there, antidote in hand, ready to play the hero for Victoria and her sprog. And let's not forget, it wouldn't be a proper finale without a few unexpected deaths, would it? Oh no, we can't have that. We need some good old-fashioned shock value to really round things off. Because apparently, that's what passes for entertainment these days. How will the Boys season finale shake up the superhero status quo? Right, listen up you lot. We're in for a bloody treat with this finale, and I'll tell you why. It's time for some proper carnage, isn't it? We've got Deep, that fishy git, and the bloke in the black suit prancing about like they're invincible. Well, I've got news for them. They're not. One of those tossers is going to bite the dust, mark my words. And let's not forget about Firecracker. She might just get her comeuppance too. If that happens, Homelander's going to lose his marbles next season. It'll be like watching a toddler have a tantrum, but with laser eyes and the ability to level cities. Now, I know some of you snowflakes out there might be upset about characters dying, but come on, we need some proper drama, don't we? It's like seasoning a steak. Without it, it's just bland and boring. The writers have left more loose ends than a badly knitted jumper, and it's about time they sorted that mess out. So what do you lot think? Which of these theories is going to pan out? And while you're at it, tell me what you thought of this season. Was it a cracking good time or a complete waste of electricity? If you enjoyed this little chat, give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm off to prepare for the carnage. Cheerio!
Не останавливайся, прыгай выше, чап. Этот трек поднимает крыши, чап. Этот момент принадлежит нам, чап. Почувствуй жизнь своей.